Such was the case for this little girl's daddy, a deacon at Thankful Baptist Church, who was shot and killed by a white farmer. An all-white jury refused to bring charges, setting the man who murdered her daddy free. She could have left the South with a hardened spirit, allowing the venom of racism to poison and slowly destroy her capacity to love, to help, and to do good to others. But she committed herself to help better conditions. That was the story that finally surfaced as the saga unfolded this week, that led to premature statements and hasty judgments concerning Shirley Sherrod. Forced to resign her federal position on the side of a dusty Georgia road because of a cut and paste viral video, Shirley Sherrod became a casualty in the war of politics and race. She had been unfairly portrayed, unduly condemned, and unjustly attacked, swept in the whirlwind of a 24-hour news cycle that put her reputation in question and her future in jeopardy. But while the pieces of the story were still coming together that would eventually vindicate her, on a CNN interview with a cool, calm, and collected disposition reminiscent of that described of those 3 Hebrew boys in Babylon, she said, and I quote, "Even with this, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. I'm out of a job today, but I'm not angry. I will survive. I have to survive. I can't dwell on that. I just have to go on." End of quote. West Point, maybe it was her deacon daddy who taught her what this psalmist meant when he penned the words, "Fret not thyself because of evildoers." I don't know, Kathy, maybe it was her Baptist pastor who taught her what the psalmist meant when he wrote, "Trust in the Lord and do good." Maybe it was those Sunday school lessons that converged on her all of a sudden on that Georgia road that reminded her, "Delight thyself in the Lord, and he will give thee the desires of thine heart." I don't know, but if you've ever been the target of unfair treatment or ever been hurt by someone's purposeful and intentional actions, if you've ever suffered the humiliation of being picked on or picked out or picked over, if you've ever been put down or passed up as the result of unfair practices, unequal policies, or unrighteous people, if you've had to face or are facing systemic discrimination or structural inequity, or if you've ever been or currently are the victim of vitriolic and venomous criticism, you need to get this psalm in your spirit. Fret not thyself because of evil doers. Because this psalm is written from the vantage point of the victimized. It is written from the vantage point of one who is grappling with the reality that there are some mean folk in this world. I know as Christians we like to think about the best in people and hope for the best out of people. But this psalm reminds us that there are some evil folk in this world. There are some mean minds. There are some cold hearts. There are some hateful spirits. And you don't need to fool yourself, West Point. Everybody does not like you. I wish I had about 1 or 2 witnesses here. There are some folk who can't stand that you're blessed the way you're blessed. I know I'm right about it. There's some folk who can't stand that you live where you live. And can't stand that you drive what you drive, and that you wear what you wear, and that you have what you have, and that you have the job that you have. You got what. There's some folk who want nothing more than to see misery and mayhem come into your life. And in fact, their very aim and their agenda is to create chaos and confusion in your life. But with all that David experiences and encounters from all who are out to hurt him and hinder him, from all that frustrates and infuriates him, David comes to the conclusion that it ain't right, but it's okay. I believe that somebody's life would be a whole lot better this morning and a whole lot more satisfying if you let that message sink into your spirit and echo in your heart and transform your reality. Because hear me, in this life, you're going to go through some things that just ain't right. You're going to deal with some folk who just are not right. You're going to go through some situations that just are not right. And if you're going to keep a sense of contentment, sense of balance, if you're going to remain Christian in the midst of criticism, if you're going to prosper through your problem, you've got to come to the conclusion and declare over your life, it's not right, but it's okay. That's when you know that you've become a spiritually mature Christian. When you can look at stuff that should not have happened to you and declare it ain't right, but it's okay. Do I have a witness here? When you can look at life and absorb the shocks and the blows of life and respond in faith and in all sincerity, it's not right, but it's okay. That's when you know that God is developing you and maturing you into a disciple of Christ. When you can live in that reality, you won't let what people say about you cause you to become bitter. You won't let how people behave cause you to lose your sense of identity, your sense of value, your sense of ethics, your sense of who you are. Because if you aren't careful, you'll let mean folk make you mean. Do I have a witness here? You'll let cold folk make you cold. You'll let little-minded folk cause you to act little-minded. You don't need to let uncaring folk make you become uncaring, because the Bible says greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And if God is greater in you, then you ought to elevate the conversation. You ought to take them on a higher level. You ought to bring them up to where you are. Don't let them take you down to where they are. You ought to be able to say, look them in the eye, you did me wrong. And it wasn't right, but it's okay. You lied on me, and I found out the lie you told. And it wasn't right, but it's okay. You left me by myself. You said you stay with me through thick and thin. You left me, but it's all right.